If you've ever seen that hard brown buildup on your dog's teeth, you probably figured you just had to live with it. But long before costly cleanings, farm families kept their dogs' mouths clean with one simple thing they added to the bowl. My name is Eli Miller, and I've kept animals on this land since I was a boy. If you'd like the old, simple ways of keeping your animals healthy, take a moment and subscribe. So let me show you.
Now that brown crust, the hard stuff that creeps along the gum line, yellow at the first and then brown, then near black at the back teeth where our body can't hardly see, most folks look at it and reckon it's just the way of things. Just what comes to a dog as he ages, they say, same as the gray that settles into the muzzle. But hear me plain. It is not the way of things. It has a name, and it has a cause, and it has an old, cheap, homely answer that near every farm family once kept close at hand, and most folks have gone and forgot. I'll be straight with you. I am no doctor, and I am no animal doctor neither. I don't come to you with letters after my name, nor a diploma on the wall. What I come to you with is this land, and the folks who worked it before me. My father kept hounds for the coon and the rabbit, and his father before him. And my mother, she doctored every creature on this place. The dogs and the barn cats, and the old milk cow, with what she had in the cupboard and what she knew in her hands.
She never once paid a man to scrape a dog's teeth. She never had to. And what she knew, her own mother taught her at the kitchen table.
And I aim to hand it to you today, plain and whole, the way it was handed to me. So let us start with the thing itself so you know what it is we are up against. When your dog eats, and most special when he eats the soft, mushy, store-bought stuff, the wet food and the sweet little treats, and the table scraps thick with bread and gravy, a film settles over his teeth, soft at the first. You could wipe it away with a rag if you caught it in time. That film is what the doctors call plaque, and it is alive, crawling with bacteria, thousands upon thousands of them, feeding right there on the sugars left behind. Leave that film be, give it a day or two of quiet, and the minerals in his own spit begin to harden it, to set it like mortar in a wall. And once it hardens, it is plaque no more. Now it is tartar, that brown stone stuck fast to the tooth, and a rag won't touch it. A brush won't hardly touch it. Once it is turned to stone, it near always takes a blade to get it off, and that means a bill, and that means your dog laid out cold and asleep on a steel table while a stranger scrapes at his mouth. And hear me, for this is the part folks miss. It is not just the teeth. A mouth left to rot does not stay in the mouth. That brown stone crowds down under the gum, and the gum pulls back, and it festers, and the poison of it leaks into the blood and travels the whole body over. The old folks couldn't name it the way a doctor does, but they knew it true. They knew a dog with a foul, rotten mouth was a dog that sickened young, went dull in the coat, went slow and sore before his time. A bad mouth makes a sick dog. They understood that in their bones, and they kept the mouth clean, not for the smile of it, but for the whole life of the animal. Here is the mercy in it, though. That hardening takes time. It is not overnight, which means a mouth that has worked every single day, worked, scrubbed, kept moving, never gives that film the still, quiet, undisturbed days it needs to turn to stone. And that, right there, is the whole of the secret. The old farm dog kept his own teeth clean, and he did it with his own jaws, on what his people gave him to gnaw. He did not need a man with a blade. He needed something to chew. And that is the one simple thing the old families added to the bowl. Before I put that very thing in your hand, and I will, plain as day, in just a moment, let me pause here one time for one honest word.
Quick word before we move on. A lifetime around animals teaches you more than fits in any one video. So I finally sat down and wrote it all out, start to finish, in a book. If you want it, that code on your screen is where it lives. Won't mention it twice. Now, back to the animals.
So here it is, the thing itself, and it is nothing you'd ever think to marvel at, a raw, meaty bone. That is the answer. A good raw soup bone, or a knuckle bone from the butcher, the big joint bones, with a little meat and gristle still clinging to them, dropped right there in the bowl a time or two in the week. Cheap as dirt. Often the butcher will hand them over for near nothing, for he counts them scrap, waste, a thing to throw out. But to your dog, that scrap is a toothbrush the good Lord built right into the beast himself. And it has been doing the work since long before the first man ever thought to charge money to clean a mouth. Now let me tell you the how of it, plain and step by step. For there is a right way and a wrong way, and the wrong way can bring you grief. It must be raw and never, ever cooked. Hear me plain on that one, for it matters more than anything else I'll say today. A cooked bone dries out. It goes brittle and hard as flint, and when a dog cracks into it, it splinters, splits into sharp little daggers that can tear his throat or his gut going down. That is a true danger, a killing danger, and I'll not soften it. So never a cooked bone, never a bone off your Sunday roast. Raw, the bone bends and gives a little. It frays soft and stringy as the dog works it, and it does him nothing but good. Pick a bone bigger than his own jaw can swallow. A knuckle or a marrow bone near the size of his own head is the safe kind, for he cannot bolt it down whole, no matter how greedy he is. Give it to him, fresh from the cold box. Let him lay down with it and gnaw a good long while, 20 minutes, a half of an hour, however long he works at it happy. Then take up what's left, put it back in the cold, and give it to him again the next day, till the meat is gone off it. Then let the barrel bone be. A time or two in the week is a plenty. You needn't do it every day. And here's why it works, for I'll never ask you to do a thing without telling you the reason of it. As that dog gnaws, the hard bone drags along the face of each tooth and scrapes that soft film clean away before it ever gets the quiet days it needs to harden into stone. And the meat and the gristle, the stringy bits, those work down between the teeth like a floss, into the tight places a scrape can't reach. And there's a third thing, quieter than the other two, but just as true. The very labor of chewing floods his whole mouth with spit, and spit is his own God-given washing water, running over every tooth, carrying off the bacteria, keeping the whole mouth rinsed and moving and sweet. So it cleans, it scours, it flosses, it rinses, all at the one time, all from one cheap scrap bone, and the dog thinks it a feast the entire while. That is the beauty of the old way. The dog does the doctoring himself and calls it a joy.
Now, I'll not lie to you, for a liar is no good to any man. This is not for every dog, and it is no magic.
A dog that already carries a mouth caked hard with brown, tartar built up years deep, a bone will slow it and it will help, but it will not lift stone that is already set fast. That mouth wants the doctor, the one time, to get it clean and right, and then you keep it clean with the old way ever after. So look in your dog's mouth first, before you do a thing. Lift his lip gentle and look. If the buildup is soft and light, a little yellow at the gum line, the bone and the ways I'll tell you will keep it off him for good. But if it is hard and dark and thick, if the gums above it are red and angry and puffed, if they bleed at a touch, if his breath turns your stomach when he yawns, that is no job for a bone. That is a sore mouth, maybe a rotten tooth, maybe an abscess down under the gum, and a dog in that shape wants a doctor, and I would be a wicked liar to tell you a knuckle bone would fix it. Get him seen, then keep him clean. And a few more plain warnings, for I'd not have you bring harm to the very creature you're trying to love. Watch him while he gnaws. Every time. Do not hand him a bone and walk off to your chores. A dog that gulps, a greedy bolter that swallows his supper near whole, might try to choke down a piece too big for him. And that is a blockage. And that is a bad, bad way for a good dog to go. Sit near. Keep an eye. A dog that's already got a weak or a broken tooth can crack it worse on a bone too hard. So if his mouth is old and tender, start soft, a meaty rib, a softer joint, not a great, hard, weight-bearing leg bone. And the marrow, that rich, fatty grease down in the hollow center of the bone, a little of it is fine, but it is very rich indeed. And too much can turn a dog's stomach, loosen his bowels, or worse for a dog that's ever had trouble with his pancreas. So the first few times, scoop a bit of that marrow out before you give it. Go small, go slow, and watch how he takes it. You know your own dog better than any man alive, better than any doctor. Trust what you see in him. Now the bone is the heart of the whole matter, but it was never the whole of it. The old families had more than one string on the fiddle, and I mean to give you the rest of them, for they work right alongside the bone and cost you next to nothing, and together they'll keep a mouth clean that no vet would believe was never scraped. The first of them is this. Give that dog something hard to chew most every single day, not just on bone day. A raw carrot, a whole one, Cold from the cellar, a dog will work a carrot near the way he works a bone, and it scrubs the teeth honest. And it costs you a penny, and does his eyes good besides. A hard, dried strip of plain meat, no salt on it, no sugar, no spice, just meat dried, slow in a low oven, till it's tough as leather, will keep him gnawing an hour and clean his teeth the whole time.
The point of it, the thing to fix in your mind, is the gnawing itself. A jaw that works is a mouth that stays clean.
A dog fed nothing his whole life but soft mush from a can, never once given a hard thing to bite down on, will build that brownstone faster than any dog living. So give his teeth some labor, a little, every day. The second is one the shore folk knew well, and we inland folk mostly forgot: a pinch of dried seaweed, kelp they call it, ground down fine and dusted right over his food. Just a small spoon for a big dog, less for a little one. There is something in that dried sea plant, some property in it, that works on the tartar from the inside and softens its grip on the tooth, so that the gnawing carries it off the easier. My own grandmother never had it, being raised far from any sea in her day, but I have kept it these many years, and I'll tell you true, it helps. It comes cheap by the bag, and a little of it lasts you months on end. The third is chiefly for the breath, for a clean mouth is a sweet mouth, and a sweet mouth is the sign that all is well within. A little fresh parsley, chopped up fine, a small pinch of it mixed right into his supper. It sweetens the breath honest, from the inside out, not the way those store bottles do it, spraying a fake mint over the top of the funk to hide it. And hear me on that, for it's a small thing that says a large thing. A foul breath is the dog's own body telling you something is wrong in there. You don't want to hide the telling. You want to hear it and fix the cause. So let the parsley freshen while the bone does the real work, both of them together, and never trust a perfume that only covers what it ought to cure. The fourth is the oldest brushing there ever was, and it asks for nothing but a clean rag in your own two hands. Wrap a bit of damp cloth round the end of your finger. Dip it in a little plain baking soda, if you've a mind to, and run it gentle along his teeth and his gums, the outside faces of them most of all, for that is where the stone likes to build. Do it of an evening when he's calm and sleepy and settled by the fire. He'll fuss and pull away the first few nights, sure he will, and then he'll come to sit for it like it's nothing. A minute at it, two at the very most. That is all a store-bought brush ever does. Only this is a rag, and it costs you not 1 cent. And my mother did just this to every hound we ever kept. Every Sunday night, quiet, by the lamp. The fifth is not a thing you add at all, but a thing you take away, and it may be the most important of the lot. Look hard, look honest at what you are putting in that bowl to begin with. The soft, the sweet, the sticky stuff, the colored treats dyed bright out of a bag, the table scraps heavy with bread and sugar and sweet gravy that is the very fuel the mouth bacteria feed and fatten on. You can gnaw every bone in the county and still lose this fight if you're pouring sugar in the other end all the day long.
So cut the sweet, soft stuff. Feed him plainer. Feed him harder. Feed him more the way a dog was made to eat.
A dog was never meant to eat candy, and I'll tell you honest, near half the brown, rotten mouths I have seen in my long life came straight out of a bag of sweet, soft, colored treats sold to a kind and loving owner who thought all the while he was being good to his dog. And the sixth and the last. Keep his water clean and cool and always full to the brim. A mouth kept wet is a mouth forever washing its own self. Change it out daily and scrub the bowl while you're at it. For the same slick slime that grows on his teeth grows down in a dirty water bowl too. And he laps it right back up into him. Fresh water, always, every day. It is the simplest thing on this whole list. And wouldn't you know it, it's the very one most folks let slide. And I'll tell you the one thing that ties all of these together, the thing that makes them work when nothing else has, and that is doing them steady. Steady. A bone this week, and the next, and the one after that. The sweet stuff cut out for good, not just for a spell and then back to it. For the mouth builds that brown stone slow and patient, day by quiet day. And the only thing on this earth that beats a slow, patient trouble is a slow, patient tending. Faithfulness is the whole of the medicine here. The old folks had it because their whole lives ran on it, the milking and the mending and the tending, done the same every day, come rain or come shine. You bring that same steady hand to your dog's mouth, and I promise you plain, you will not fail him. And here's the thing for those of you with the little dogs, the small breeds, for I'd not leave you out of it. A great knuckle bone is far too much for a little jaw, and I know it well. For the small ones, ask your butcher for a raw chicken neck or a soft, raw, meaty piece. Cut down to a size that fits their mouth and let them work at that instead. Same scrubbing, same good done, only size right to the dog. Watch a small dog every bit as close as you would a large one closer. Even for a little throat blocks, the easier. But don't you go thinking the small breeds are shut out of the old ways. They are not. They only want it cut down to their measure, and that's the whole of the difference. Now let me tell you about a dog, so you know this is not just words I'm handing you. When I was a boy, no higher than the kitchen table, my father kept an old blue tick hound named Duke, a rangy, long-eared, patient old fellow who slept close by the wood stove and hunted like the very devil come the first hard frost. That dog lived 14 years, and for a working hound in those days, that was a long and a blessed life. And I remember it plain as this morning. My mother, of a Sunday night, calling Duke on over and running her rag-wrapped finger round his old yellow teeth while he groaned and leaned his whole weight into her hand, the both of them half asleep there by the lamp. He had a mouth on him at 14 years, cleaner than dogs I see brought low today at 4.
Never scraped, never put under, never one bill paid on it. Just a bone in the week, a rag on a Sunday night,
a carrot when the garden gave them, and clean water always in the pan. That was the whole of his dentistry, start to end, and it carried him 14 good and faithful years. I never once forgot it. I couldn't if I tried. And I'll give you one last small thing, the 7, and it is more a habit than it is a remedy. Once a week when you go to do that rag along his gums, take the half a minute to truly look. Lift his lip on the both sides, the front and the back, and come to know your dog's mouth the way you know your own hand. For you, seeing it every week will catch a cracked tooth or a red swollen gum or a strange dark spot long before it ever grows into a misery, and a small trouble caught early is a cheap trouble and an easy one to mend, while that very same trouble left to grow on in the dark becomes the exact bill and the exact steel table I have been warning you off of this whole while. The looking is free. It is the not looking that costs you dear in the end. So look, once a week, faithful. Just look. So there it is, the whole of it, handed to you now. And I want you to sit still a moment and weigh in your mind just how cheap it all is. A raw bone the butcher counts as scrap, and near gives away. A carrot up from the cellar, a pinch of dried sea plant, a sprig of parsley, a clean old rag, a little baking soda, and clean cool water, pennies, the whole lot of it. Now set that down against a cleaning at the animal doctor's, the fee they charge, the medicine to put him under, the true risk of laying an old dog down cold and senseless on a steel table, and the whole long day of worry that comes with it. Now, I'll not run the doctor down. He is no bad man, and there is a time you truly need him. And I have told you that plain as I know how. But somewhere down the years, we got taught, all of us, to reach for the costly bottle and the costly bill for a thing our own grandmothers did with a bone and a rag and never gave a second thought. That old knowing didn't die by any man's wicked scheme. It just slipped, quiet and slow, out of the everyday doing of things, and folks forgot it. And so plain and cheap and so honest, that is the whole truth of it, and nothing more. And that is the very thing I mean to hand back to you here today. So keep something hard in his jaws and something plain in his bowl. Give him the raw bone to scrub, the carrot to gnaw, the pinch of kelp to loosen, the parsley to sweeten, the rag to wipe, and the clean water to rinse and cut away that sweet, soft stuff that started the whole trouble in the first place. Do that, faithful, and a young mouth stays clean its whole life long, and an old mouth stops its getting worse, and you'll never again stand over your good dog thinking that brown stone is just the sorry way of things, for it never was the way of things. It never once was. Now, I'd count it a real kindness if you tell me, down below there, where you write to me, what is it you add to your own dog's bowl? What did your people do, back in your own corner of this wide country, to keep a good dog sound and healthy? And what part of the land is it you write to me from? I read every one, and I learn as much from you as ever you learn from me. You go on and take good care of the creatures the Lord set in your keeping. And I'll see you here again the next time, for there is one humble, common thing near every barn already has sitting in it that will quiet an itching, scratching, miserable dog and grow his coat back in thick and shining. And I mean to sit down and tell you the whole of it. Till then,